excited, so call me back. Okay, love you. Bye.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Emotionally Online, the show for spilling guts and sharing secrets, hosted by yours truly, the one and only Maddie Drosbeck. And today I'm here with my co-host, the gooey girl herself, the gooeyest girl in all the land, Miss Mango Drosbeck. Oi, 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 oi. She's here. And she's ready to be cuddly and gooey on camera for the whole episode. You have no idea, Mango, but this morning, Mommy put down a deposit for our tattoo. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm getting the tattoo of me and Mango in a martini glass, gossiping and having the best time together. I'm getting it in like 2 weeks. Just put the deposit down today. I'm so fucking excited. It's going to be symbolically me and Mango. The girl and the cat might not look exactly like us because I think it'd be a little weird to have myself tattooed on my body. So they're going to look different, but they're going to be us because we exist in every plane of existence, Mango. You and I have been together in every single lifetime, in this and the next. We've looked a lot of different ways, but we've always been together because we're besties forever. And that's the truth. And it doesn't matter what we look like because I've known you in every lifetime, you sweet little thing. Ah! I love her. I love you so much, sweetie baby. All right, who's ovulating this week? Say what's up in the chat. All right, say it. Let's come clean. Who the fuck is ovulating and who else is banging their head against the wall, screaming, absolutely clawing out of their own skin? Okay, what the fuck is going on this week? Can I say it? Can I say what the fuck is going on this week? Oy vey. Got my Emotionally Online t-shirt on right now. All black fit going. All black comfy fit at the moment with Mango sitting on top of me, meaning I'm going to be covered in hair by the end of this episode, but that is the vibe of life. Okay, that is the path I've chosen for myself. I'm accepting of this. We do still have a few sizes left in the shirt. And then we should have a good range of sizes left for the sweat set and the sweater in case you want to cop some Emotionally Online merch. Just a reminder that it does exist and you can buy some, and tell everybody what your favorite podcast is. I'm also assuming that this is your favorite podcast. One of your favorite podcasts. One of the bestie girls you like to listen to on the internet. One of your favorite parasocial relationships. You know, just something to tell the girlies what's going on. What's going on inside your brain. You're an Emotionally Online girly, okay? It says something about a person. It is kind of funny that, so the reason why I wanted to make a band tee for the podcast was because I had this same idea of making a band tee for Not a Band for my trivia team. And I had that idea in December to be like, oh, wouldn't it be so fun to do like a band tee for my trivia team, Lads on Tour, and have like all of our scores from last season and something to remember each night by written down, because I'm a weirdo and a dork and I write down all of our stats. I have everything written down. I have the number of games that everyone has attended, what scores we got every single game we've ever been to, and something to remember the night by, like all of our season scores and where we placed in the city and just everything. I write everything down. So I was like, oh, I want to use all of this to like make a fun little t-shirt for us. But it's been taking me so long to finish that t-shirt that literally in the span of that idea being thought of, I was able to make and sell and actually distribute shirts for the podcast with the same idea before I've been able to give my friends the Lads t-shirts. I'm just being very particular about it, because also I did this with a merch company, so obviously it's not just me versus making t-shirts for my friends. It is just me. But I have so much fun making little merchandise for the trivia team. I think that it's like I don't know, like I was never a part of any sports teams as a kid, so I missed out on that whole like team spirit and camaraderie thing. I experienced it when I was on a competitive dance team and like a little tiny bit when I did cheerleading. I don't know, when I did like rec cheerleading, as a kid, that was fun, but it was also like I was a child, so I don't know that I really count that. But then when I did competitive cheerleading in high school, I swear to God, I didn't make a single fucking friend on that team. I would go every week to the practices. We would go to the competitions. I literally made no friends on that team. So I was like a part of a team that did team things, and, you know, I don't know. I don't know that I ever felt truly a part of it, though. I think I was very shy in that group, and I never really clicked with anybody. I'm very much the type of person that's like, I am more quiet until I am comfortable. I'm not an extrovert. I'm not immediately like out there the way that some people are. I've got to like work up to it. I'm way better at one-on-one interactions than group ones. And yeah, I don't know. That cheerleading team, I just never found people that I felt comfortable with. So I don't know that I got like the team woo aspect out of that because of that. But when I did competitive dance, totally different situation. Competitive dance was like a family, and it was so much fun. And I think I do miss like that, those like team vibes of like, we have a collective goal and we're all friends and we're like, oh yeah, this is so fun. It's like you make a big deal out of something that's like, I mean, it literally means nothing. And so I think I've just had so much fun with trivia. So I make merch for the team all the time just because, I don't know, it feels like I'm on a varsity football team. Like, this is really important to me, to us. This is important, but it's like so fun. So I made everyone hats for Christmas last year, and then I give everyone gifts for like different milestones they hit within the group. So like on game 10, they get a bouquet of flowers. On game 25, they get a necklace. It's a license plate that says, it's a New York license plate that says Lads on it. That's game 25. And then I'm working on the t-shirts, which the t-shirts were supposed to be like the end of season gift from last year, or like the end of year gift. So it came like right after the Christmas gift, which was the hats. Anyways, people are about to start hitting game 50, which means I have to think up what the merch should be for game 50, but then I also need to set aside some thoughts about what the Christmas gift is going to be, and then also what I want to do for next year's t-shirt. I'm just hemorrhaging money with the trivia team. I'm just like, I don't know why I'm doing this, because it's fun to me. It is, but I am just hemorrhaging money for no reason. Just making merch for my trivia team, giving little gifts to people, whatever. It's fun. It's fun for me, so it's worth it. But yeah, excited for these t-shirts to finally be done after talking about them for 8 months. Hopefully this next iteration that I've done on them is correct, and I can give them to my friends. If my friends are watching this, I'm sorry it's taken me so long, but it's because I'm trying to make them perfect for you. Okay? It's just because I love you so fucking much. Random thought of the week, but I've seen a few people talking about this on social media this week, so I don't know if something happened and I missed it, but I've seen multiple people talking about hate following and how fucking weird it is. It's such strange behavior, and I completely agree. I have never understood the concept of hate following someone, or why you would want to hate follow someone. Because also, I guess to me, I perceive the term hate following as being like always petty. So I perceive it to be like a little embarrassing to admit you do. Because I think if you thought someone was like genuinely a bad person who is like toxic or contributing really negative things, has a bad heart, is just like a bad person, you're probably not hate following them. I think those people you're just like about. To me, hate following is like you think someone is annoying on Instagram stories, or you hate their outfits, or it's like some other emotion masqueraded as hate. It's usually like jealousy masqueraded as hate, I would say. Overwhelmingly, that's probably the case. And people are like, God, I hate her. She's so cocky because she, like, I don't know, likes herself. Those are the type of people that I think engage in hate following, when people are like, God, she's so cocky, I hate her, but I still follow her because I just want to see what she's doing all the time. Or I don't know, I don't understand hate following at all. One, because I'm like, if you genuinely hate someone and you think they're like a bad person, you think that you would just unfollow because you have like some sort of morals about yourself, where you're like, I don't want to support people like this. which is why I feel like hate following in and of itself, it's like, I'm assuming it's not somebody like that and it's more of like a petty hate thing. And if it's a petty hate thing, like, grow the fuck up. Like, not everything on the internet is for you. Not everything on the internet is going to be for you. If you don't like someone's content, if it doesn't align with you, if you're not interested, don't fucking follow. Like, rather than follow and be a hater because it doesn't appeal to your exact desires or because you have your own internal shit that you're projecting on other people. Like, you're just making yourself miserable and you look miserable in the process. Like, it's not a good look for you either. So you're torturing yourself and you also look bad. So, like, what is the purpose? I don't get it. Literally at all. I don't understand a lot of like following semantics. Like, I know that people get like so offended when someone unfollows them from high school, and I'm perplexed by that. I really truly am. To me, it feels like like an insecurity projection thing, because if someone from, well, first of all, I don't follow many people that I went to high school with if I'm not friends with them. But there are some people that I still follow from high school that I'm like, what are you guys up to? Because they're nice, they're cool people, and I'm interested to see what's going on in their lives. If I didn't care, I wouldn't follow. Like, I don't follow people to be nice. I think that's a ridiculous thing. If I'm following you, it's because I'm interested in what you're doing. I'm interested in seeing what's going on in your life. And the second I don't care anymore, I will stop following. Which I will stop caring at some point. Like, I'm not going to care forever about people I don't know. That's normal. The same way I don't expect people to care about me forever if they don't know me. But it's like, if someone from high school unfollows me, or someone that I knew several years ago unfollows me and we haven't talked since then, I'm not going to be fucking offended. Like, we don't know each other. You don't know me that. I don't know you that. So, like, if you don't really care about keeping up with me and seeing what I'm doing, that's cool. Because we're strangers. I don't care. So I don't know. I also just feel like I feel like being intentional about who I follow and what I consume on social media has been like so major to my mental health that I don't judge other people for whatever they need to do for their mental health. Also, like, I just don't like when my feeds are clogged up with a bunch of shit I don't care about. Like, I cannot follow more than 500 people on Instagram because I'll be like overwhelmed and I feel like I don't see the shit I want to see. So the second that my following goes over 500, I go, oh, it's time for an unfollow spree. And I go through the list and I unfollow everybody that I don't care about anymore. And that's not personal. It's just like, we don't know each other. We're strangers. Sorry. And that's the same reason why I don't get offended when people unfollow me. Because I'm like, I didn't expect us to care forever. You want to see what you want to see. You don't want to see me anymore. That's cool. We're strangers. I don't know. I guess I just don't understand why it's so personal. And maybe this is like a result of being a grown-up, or maybe I'm just on social media so much and have my own, maybe I just have my wits about me. I don't know. I just don't really get it, to be honest. I think it's hate following and all these rules about following and unfollowing is just, I don't know. This is where I turn into an old person. I'm like, what are you kids talking about? What are all these rules? It's just too much for me. I don't get it. All right, let's get into some submissions, shall we? For those of you that don't know, there is a submission box. You guys can submit anything and everything, and I will read some of them out on the show each week. Advice requests, questions, just general life tales, anything that you want to share at the sleepover is welcome to be shared at the sleepover. What is said here stays here, besties. So get in your slumber bags. Gather around. We're in a slumber bag circle with our hands in the middle, and we're about to really get into it. We're about to deep dive into some of these submissions. So let's fucking go. Hello, Maddie. I discovered your podcast about a month ago, and I just wanted to say I'm so thankful to have found an influencer like you to help me on my journey of healing and self-acceptance. You truly are doing amazing things, so thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn from you. That is so kind of you, and I'm so excited that you're here. I'm always like so excited to learn that people are like discovering the podcast newly. Obviously, I know that people are, but in my brain, it's always like, oh, you must know the podcast because you watch my videos, and not just like, oh, you discover the podcast organically, which is cool to me, just to learn. So thanks for being here. With that being said, I am a plus size girly and I'm trying to change my mindset to love myself after a lifetime of unacceptable fat phobia. I have been on a journey of highs and lows, and I wanted to share with you a low that I experienced this past weekend, and I'm hoping to get your advice/opinion on the situation. I was visiting a city where 2 of my lifelong friends live, and we went out one night to some local bars. I felt cute in my outfit, hair, and makeup, and my 2 friends were also dressed super cute. When we were at a bar, I couldn't help but notice that the guys were fascinated with my friends but couldn't give a fuck about me. It was even to the point where 2 guys came up to the 3 of us and we were all having a 20-minute conversation. All of us were contributing to the convo and neither of the guys made eye contact with me and pretended like I didn't exist, even when I was talking. Now, I know my 2 friends are gorgeous and are fun, but it hurt to not even feel noticed. At one point, one of the guys was hitting on my friend, and she said she wasn't interested because she has a boyfriend, and she pointed to me and my other friend and said, "These 2 are single." That was when one of the guys looked at me for the first time and didn't say anything. It was incredibly awkward, but I still pretended like that didn't hurt me or make me feel like shit. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Boo, douchebag. That isn't the men we want to attract anyways. True. That's what I thought after, too. But it didn't stop me from feeling ugly and insecure in the moment. What is your advice on how I should feel and how I can snap out of what triggers my insecurities? Is it really going to be a fake it till I become it type of thing? Do I need to pretend like shit doesn't affect me in order to gain my confidence? Like I said, I am still on my journey of self-acceptance and I appreciate the advice and support. So for starters, I don't think that you need to pretend that shit doesn't affect you in order to gain confidence. I think that like we're always affected by things, and no matter how confident we are, how secure we are, like we're still gonna have moments where we don't feel great or where we're triggered by something. Like I would self-describe now as being pretty confident. I feel very secure in myself. I feel happy about, my appearance. I feel confident. I feel sexy. I feel beautiful. And at the same time, I'm not completely immune to like having moments of insecurity or having weeks where I don't feel good about myself or something happens that triggers me. Like I just because I have self-confidence now doesn't mean that like all of my past is just erased. Like all of these memories and moments have made up who I am. And yes, I'm more secure now, but that doesn't mean that it's a forever thing and you never falter or have moments where you don't feel that way. It's sort of, it'll always be a mixture of both. But I deeply relate to your story. I've had pretty much the exact same thing happen to me when I was in college, and I remember the night so vividly because I literally fucking spiraled afterwards. It was one of the worst, if not the worst night going out in college. It was probably like my sophomore year, and I went out with my 2 roommates at the time, and they were both dancers, very like physically fit and just very different body types than mine. And the 3 of us went out to this gross college bar called Durden's, which is closed down now, but it was like a Fight Club themed bar in the East Village. It was fucking awful, but they accepted fake IDs, we were there pretty frequently because of that. But the crowd there was not fantastic. It was like the crowd of people that I would never be interested in, and I know this now. But at the time, when you're just like a young college student going out and you're like, I don't know, you're wanting to get attention, you're wanting to be flirted with, like I was a lot more influenced by what other people thought of me or how desirable I was being perceived than I am now. And I remember we were at the bar and there were these 2 guys that were flirting with my roommates, which is great. My roommates are hot. They deserve to be flirted with. But there is the difference between like when someone is hitting on your friend and they're also treating you like a person, and when somebody is flirting with your friend and like won't acknowledge that you're there. And that's like a really strange and uncomfortable feeling, but that's exactly how I felt standing there. I was like, they won't even make eye contact with me. It's like I don't exist. I don't care if you're interested in my friends and not me. Like I'm happy to see my friends get attention. It's when people don't even give you the time of day as like a human being that it starts to like get to you because you're like, what the fuck? Like, hello? And it's a feeling that I don't know how to describe to people when you are in a conversation and you can feel someone, you can feel people just overlooking you like you're not even there, and like they won't interact with you or give you the same kind of respect that they're giving your friends that they are attracted to. But there are some people that will treat you differently if they're not attracted to you, and it's such a shitty feeling, and it makes you feel so small. And I think especially at this time in my life, I was like 19 years old and I felt so insecure about my body. I felt really unlovable. I had just, been put through the ringer with that first guy that I went out with in New York. And like, this adds so much context, right? Where I'm already feeling like I'm so unlovable and uninteresting, and like I'm just such a burden to everybody, and that like my body's going to be a problem everywhere I go. Like I feel so low. And then I'm put in this situation where I'm watching my beautiful friends be treated in a way that I've never been treated before, and these people won't even look at me, right? They won't even give me the time of day. They won't acknowledge my existence in a friendly way. And it's hard not to like spiral in a moment like that. So I remember branching off from my friends, and I made out with quite a few people that night. I'm pretty sure I was, I was spiraling. We were going full spiral. And the night ended with an older gentleman finding me in the bar and begging me to let him take off my shoes. In the bar. He wanted me to take off my shoes. He wanted me to let him take off my shoes in the bar. And he was showing me photos of his children. And I was fighting off demons in the corner of Durden's. I've told this story before. But this is why I was full spiral, fighting off demons in the corner, where it was like my friends were being hit on, and then I have like the weirdest men in the world like, you cannot take off your shoes, miss. And I was like, I'm gonna die right now. And I remember I told my friends, I was like, I'm so sorry, we have to leave. Like, I have to go home. I was so drunk and I was full spiral because I already felt like such shit about myself. And then I have these like demons coming up from the underworld speaking to me, and I was like, there's no fucking way, like this can't happen to me. Oh my God, I need to go home. And my friends brought me home, and I cried, and we had whatever. My friends have always been like so sweet at making me feel better, and for especially in that time of life, I just feel like they were the best. Shout out to Ellie Frechette, mama, my roommate from college, who she just is an angel on this earth and always made me feel so good. Still does. Love her. Seeing her this weekend, I'm so excited. But yeah, I deeply relate. I get it. I've been there, and it's not fun. It makes you feel so small and invisible, and like there's got to be something wrong with you. It's just such an awful feeling. And yes, you know me very well. Boo, douchebag. That isn't the men that we want to attract anyways. And it's true. That's exactly what my first response is always going to be, because I think that like a lot of times we start to take things personally, or we see someone who's like treating us unkindly or unfairly, and we want to like internalize that and be like, oh, what's wrong with me? What could I have done? Like, if I looked differently, if I was this differently, if whatever, if I changed in this way, would it make this person respect me, see me as a real human being deserving of even a basic level of like kindness? And at the end of the day, I just don't think that thought loop is productive, because these are not people that we should care about the opinions of. These are not people that we should be taking their opinions into account because they have shitty fucking opinions. If you are going to treat someone like subhuman because you're not physically attracted to them, like suck a dick and die. I think that's so despicable and rude and just awful. And I don't connect with people like that. I don't connect with the way they see the world or see human beings and treat other people. Those are not the kind of hearts that I surround myself with. I think that's bullshit. I don't care if you're not attracted to me. You still need to treat me with respect. baseline. Now, even though we know that, and we can sit and say, like, these people are not people that we should be taking the opinions of to heart. They're douchebags. We don't want to go out with them. That doesn't mean that it's not going to hurt. Of course it hurts. That was really mean. That was really unkind. And it's okay to acknowledge that and to be upset about it. I don't think we need to wish away those feelings at all. And I don't think that being upset and acknowledging that that was really unkind hinders our journey towards self-confidence at all. I think we can acknowledge, hey, this is a situation where someone behaved in a way that was unkind. It made me feel like less in these ways. This is how it impacted me. This is how it made me feel in the moment. And it has contributed to maybe a longer standing fear I have had in terms of like how lovable I am and what my desirability is. It has contributed to something that has already existed in me. It has made my insecurities feel magnified in that way. And I think that having an open conversation with yourself and the people that are close to you, that love you and see you for all that you are, is like the only way to heal from moments like that. Because it is really difficult. And I get it, because moments like that in my life have stuck with me for years. I'm still talking about like childhood bullying experiences in therapy where I'm like, somebody did this to me, someone made me feel this way, and it contributed to this like long-standing insecurity I've had about, you know, my desirability, how lovable I am, which is something that I used to, how it's positioned in my therapy conversations mostly is how I always think I'm too much, and I think I'm just always too much for people in every way you can imagine it. And a lot of my experiences in dating, in, you know, being bullied as a kid, these weird one-off experiences in bars and stuff, like, has all contributed to this insecurity that I've had throughout my life. And I do feel like a lot of relief now in that it's not something that impacts me as much as it once did. But that the only reason it doesn't is because through years of therapy and through like undoing a lot of my immediate thought patterns of like when I catch myself thinking those things about myself or analyzing a situation and labeling myself in those ways, I now have the tools to like stop that kind of internal dialogue in its tracks and be like, okay, why are you talking about yourself like this? Why are you telling yourself that like XYZ is true about you because, you know, these random people made you feel that way and now you've decided that this is the truth about yourself? Doesn't mean that it is. So there's not like an easy quick fix, right? It's years to undo and like work on working through these types of insecurities. And if you have access to therapy, I really recommend it because I really think that like therapy has been the biggest way that I have started to feel better about myself. Therapy and having very good, thoughtful friends, and also following a lot of really powerful, opinionated people on social media that make me feel relief because of how confidently they say things. So I think it all helps, right? But I feel for you. You don't need to get rid of your triggers in order to experience feeling confident in yourself. I think there's a way we can coexist with both. We can coexist with our triggers and also be confident in ourselves. And I think being gentle as you navigate through the process of figuring out what that looks like is all you can do. I am not known to be a good chef. People know this about me. People are talking and they're saying that Maddie might not be very good at cooking, which is why HelloFresh, the sponsor of today's episode, has been particularly beneficial to me. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep with pre-portioned ingredients to help cut down on food waste with step-by-step instructions to make cooking a breeze, not a chore. I tried HelloFresh for the first time when I was fresh out of college at my first 9-to-5 big girl job, and it made coming home, cooking a quick and easy dinner, and having leftovers to bring with me to lunch the next day. Super helpful and super easy. HelloFresh gets that you want options when it comes to what to make for dinner and not just the same old thing every single time. That's why they offer 40 recipes to choose from every single week, so you'll never get bored and can always find something new and delicious to try. So if you're interested in giving HelloFresh a shot, you can go to hellofresh.com/emotionallyonline50 and use code emotionallyonline50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, that is hellofresh.com/emotionallyonline50 and use code emotionallyonline50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Hello, Maddie. I wanted to ask you something, and I hope it's not a rude question to ask, but do you believe in the rumor that New York is especially hard when it comes to dating? Do you hear others say that sometimes? And if so, what do you think is the reason for it? It makes me a bit worried since I would love to live there at some point. Yeah, this is an interesting question, and people do say this, and I'm going to say agree and disagree. I don't think it's New York specifically. I think it's cities in general, but I think it's a combination of living in a like densely populated place in the age of social media and dating apps. I think it's a combination of everything because I mean, I think naturally when you look at like cities versus suburbia, people in suburbia get married way younger than you do in cities. And this is for a few reasons, but I mean, one of the main ones is just there's less to do in suburbia, you know? So people get married younger because people out there is like the like marriage and kids timeline is, you know, that's what you do because there's just less going on out there. You know, what are they doing in bumfuck nowhere? They're getting married and having kids. That's what they do out there. In cities, there's so much to do constantly. Is socially, professionally, people come here and live very vibrant lives that can look a lot of different ways. People aren't moving to New York because they want to start a family and kids, right? Obviously, people do start a family and have kids here all the time, but nobody's like, I've got to go here so I can do that. People are like, I've got to come to New York so that I can explore this profession of mine, so that I can have this vibrant social life, that I can be closer to music and movies and nightlife and whatever else. There's all these other appeals to New York that don't necessarily exist in like suburban areas in that way. So I think just naturally people get married and have kids later in life in cities for reasons like that. And also just like culturally, it's not like my friends and I joke all the time about how like if we got married now, we'd be child brides because that's how it feels. I'm 26 and I feel like if I got married in my 20s, I'd be a child bride. Now, a lot of people don't feel that way. A lot of people feel the total opposite, but like because of how I've grown up and where I live and who I know and what the like timelines look like, I perceive it differently. I think getting married in your 20s is like we're babies. I'm a little toddler walking around, and if I get married, I'm a child bride. I can't get married in my 20s. But people that don't live in cities don't see it like that at all. And that's fine, but there's just all these differences in like the timelines, so I think that naturally impacts dating as well, because people are not trying to get married urgently here in your 20s or even early 30s. It's just not really on the table. I also think there's probably a higher percentage of people in cities that don't want to have kids. Like I've answered this question on the podcast before as well, but like I've done a lot of dating in New York, and I have barely met any people who want to have kids. I've met a lot of people that are sort of like, yeah, we'll see. Well, if it happens, it happens. But I haven't met a lot of people that are like, I'm dating and I would like to have kids. I'm dating and I want to make sure that the person I'm dating also wants to have babies. Like, that's not a conversation that I have had a lot. Granted, I am in my 20s still, so it's not as prevalent of a conversation. And then there's the other part of it, which is like when you're in a city with 8 million people, you might be thinking, oh, it must be easier to date because there's so many people. So many options. But I actually think it has the opposite effect a lot of times, especially in the age of dating apps where like the next option is right around the corner. And in a time where a lot of people have commitment issues and a lot of people don't have access to therapy to deal with said commitment issues, and having access to dating apps where the next one is literally right around the corner. You could meet someone in the next 30 minutes to go out with on a date tonight. Like I think you find that there are a lot of people who become like overwhelmed with the amount of options, or that they put off dealing with their commitment issues or internal stuff because they can always move on to the next person. Rather than like working on things and on themselves with one person. I think, unfortunately, having a lot of options gives people a way to just like have fun and keep going out with people and not confronting the things within themselves that make it so that long-term dating is difficult. And then on top of that, just like generational differences contributing to how we date and how like our generation's fixation on hyper independence impacts the way we date. Like I think there's a lot of things that make dating harder in general across the board, no matter where you are. But I think sometimes it can become magnified in cities, just because of the way things are. I don't think it's a New York thing though, necessarily. I think any city would be pretty similar, to be honest. And people that I know in other cities have echoed similar sentiments no matter where they are. I definitely don't feel that it's strictly New York, but New York is a big city with lots of people that are dating. And I don't know, you probably hear about it more just because New York is that bitch. But either way, I wouldn't let the dating scene in a city impact whether or not you move there or not. New York is the best place in the fucking world. You could tell me that dating here is going to be shit for the rest of my life and I would still choose to live here. Like I love New York. I love the people in New York. I would rather have, a tumultuous dating life in New York than an easy one anywhere else. 'Cause that's the other thing is like, I don't believe that like going and moving to the suburbs would make dating easier for someone like me. The people in the suburbs don't want to date me and I don't want to date them, right? Because I don't want to have a big family and kids and I don't want to live in the suburbs. I want to live in New York. So it's like I would rather build the life that I want to live here and go through the motions of trying to find a good match for me in a city like New York than like having it slightly easier somewhere else and living a life that I don't fucking love. I don't know. I just don't think it should contribute to why you move to a place. But yeah, I don't think it's a New York thing specifically. I think it's just a city thing / generational thing. The times we are living in. Hello, Maddie. I really enjoy watching the different forms of art that you create with such a passion. It's contagious. Thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable online and being such a strong-minded and opinionated human being. I'm currently struggling with a situation in which I think your opinion on it will help me get a new perspective. Since 2021, I'm in a loving and very committed relationship with my boyfriend. We opened it up right at the beginning, meaning having sexual and sensual encounters with others as well is allowed. He does not want to be polyamorous, and since that is his boundary, I said that it's okay for me because I want this to work out. Since a few months, I am dating another guy and developed a crush on him, and I can imagine myself forming a loving relationship with him. I told my boyfriend and he does not want me to have another relationship due to the fact that it will hurt his ego. I really don't know what to do with this since I love him very much, but I feel restricted in my freedom of living the way that I want to. It seems like we're incompatible in that sense, and it's a huge thing for me since I can feel love towards more than only one person. I really want to hear your opinion on it since you are more on the monogamous side, and I want to understand how to make him happy but also myself in the long term. So I mean, from where I sit, this sounds like a pretty major incompatibility because in the one sense, you say that you're starting to feel restricted into your freedom of living the way that you want to, which is real. If you would rather be in a polyamorous relationship, then you should be in a polyamorous relationship. But if he doesn't want that, then you can't force him to. So in the same way that you have set a boundary and you're like, this is what I want to be in a polyamorous relationship, he's also allowed to set a boundary and say, I'm not okay with that. I'm cool with an open relationship, but I am expected to be like your one and only primary partner. I'm not looking to share that position with another person. That's fine. Neither one of you is wrong for that, right? Like you want what you want. And I think it might be sort of a tough pill to swallow because you say you love this person. But I think at the end of the day, if you do love this person, then you should also want them to be happy and to be in a relationship that they feel comfortable in. So I know you're saying like, I want to understand how to make him happy, but also myself in the long term. And I know you're probably hopeful that there could be a world where you could make him happy and yourself and stay together, but that might not be true. And it just might be time to explore if you guys are actually compatible in a more long-term way from this point forward. Because if you want to explore polyamory and he doesn't, then that's really all it is, right? You can't force people to do what they don't want to do. The same way he can't force you to be, just with him if it's not what you want to do. I think it's just a matter of like, maybe this is not truly meant to be. If you guys want different things, then that it is what it is in that way. But I understand that that's tough to move on from someone that you love and really would want to be with if you were on the same page. But if you're not on the same page, then there's really no getting past that one. All right, last submission that I have here. This isn't really a question. This is just a submission that I wanted to read out loud to segue us into the next portion of the show, babes. This person says, I will vote on your behalf. I'm from the UK and I am a casual enjoyer of Love Island, really mainly so that I can put faces to the names when you talk about it. I haven't downloaded the app or voted ever. However, for you, I will. You just let me know. I am a Love Island voting mercenary. My only caveat is that I will never, ever, ever vote for Sammy, though I don't anticipate that being an issue. Don't you worry. It's not going to be an issue, babes. You know what? I feel like I'm building an army right now. I'm getting in there, I'm building an army, and I'm infiltrating the Love Island voting system. Because do you know how many people message me being like, I don't watch Love Island, but I live in the UK and I will vote for you? I'm rigging the fucking system, babes. I'm committing Love Island voter fraud. I am. I'm committing Love Island voter fraud. And all of you guys are going to vote on my behalf. I'm going to cast 80 votes on my behalf. Okay. So this is what we're going to do, okay? I think I already know who I want to win, so I'm going to say it right now. But I'm going to have to verify for you guys over the weekend so the finale is airing on Monday, which means voting is opening Sunday night, okay? All you UKers out there, all my Brits, voting opens on Sunday night. So we've just got to verify who I'm voting for by Sunday night. But I'm telling you right now, I think I want Ty and Ella to win. Tyreek deserves $50K, okay? He does. So we're voting for Tyreek and Ella unless I say otherwise. Realistically, I think that Whitney and Locken are probably going to win, but this is why we've got to get in there and commit voter fraud. We've got to get all of you guys to vote for me so that we can turn the tables here, okay? We're voting for Ty and Ella. And listen, if I was going to vote for who I thought would be like the best couple on the outside most likely to work, I would be voting for Whitney and Locken as well. However, that's not how I like to vote for Love Island, okay? Not that I've ever gotten to vote before, but if I was allowed to vote, which this season, we're doing what needs to be done, all right? If I was allowed to vote, I would not vote for the true love option. No, I'm voting for who put in the hours to give me good entertainment this season, who worked their ass off to deliver me golden standard reality TV. Tyreek has done that, okay? Tyreek deserves $50K. I don't really know that I think Ty and Ella are going to last long term. It doesn't matter. Tyreek put in hours. He worked nonstop for the last 2 months, okay? I want to pay this man overtime for what he has done. So I'm locking in Ty and Ella. I think he deserves it. Ella's just like getting a free pass here, a free ride to enjoy the money, because it's Ty that really, I think, deserves the money. Tyreek and Ella, that's who we're voting for, everybody. Write it down. Okay? Unless I say otherwise. So follow me on Instagram to learn if I'm going to say otherwise. I don't think I will, though. But I will post on my Instagram stories on Sunday to verify who I need to vote for. Okay? Because this is important to me. With that, let's talk about the second to last week of Love Island. Next week will be our last week of the season. This season has been fucking phenomenal. It's been so goddamn good. I'm really excited to think about things other than Love Island, though. Really, I'm very excited to have some of my life back. It's just such a commitment, and it's so fun, and I will do anything for my country. But I need some time to do things besides Love Island. It's just like the winter season literally just happened. It was like January to what? It ended like mid-March, and then we had like 2 months of a break, and then we had June to beginning of August, and now we're gonna have like 4 or 5 months of no Love Island. So, we get half a year to let our brains breathe, and then we go back in. We dive right back underwater. All right, babes. So let's get into it real quick because I've got lots of thoughts going on in my brain. All right, so beginning of week 7, Jess tells Josh, who recently coupled up with her, the newer guy, that she just knows in her heart that she's closed off to Sammy, and she's really polite about it, real nice, a real class act, and then pulls Sammy and is basically like, listen, I told Josh that I'm closed off to you, but I just needed to hear him out for myself because, to be totally honest, I don't feel very secure or loved by you. And Sammy is immediately defensive every time Jess brings up very valid criticisms about this man. He's so fucking annoying. And he immediately was like, I said we were exclusive. Isn't that enough? And she's like, that actually doesn't tell me anything about you, how you actually feel about me. And then he goes, well, I'm just not a big feelings person. Gross, icky, boo. And then Jess goes, well, I don't think this is going to work then. And the thing is that like Jess, she says things that tells me that I'm like, okay, she gets it. But then her actions just never align with it. And it's like, God damn it. Why would you want to date someone who like in the later stages of you guys dating, where you're at the point now where it's like you're looking for a label, he's going to look at you and say, I'm just not a feelings person. Babe, go to therapy. Like, I cannot emphasize this enough. If you are not a feelings person, why are you looking for a relationship? You cannot be like so wildly uncomfortable with your feelings and your emotions and then go off and date people. It is actually so mean to Jess to be like, well, obviously I like you because I said we're exclusive. Like, isn't that enough? I'm not going to tell you how I feel. I'm just not a feelings person. Like, perhaps you're the problem, Sammy. Why do you always keep turning around on Jess? Like, oh, isn't it enough for you? Like, you just, women, they want so much. And it's like, you're emotionally stunted. What's not clicking, babes? You're the problem. Go to therapy. And then Jess is like, I'm someone who needs a lot of reassurance in a relationship. So if you can't give me that, then see you later. And it's like, she's saying a lot of words. And I'm going, Jess, you said it. You took the words out of my mouth, babe. Leave him. He's a fucking child. But she just never does. We just have all the excuses for Sammy in the world. But that man sucks. He sucks. Then Ella B pulls main Ella to squash whatever beef they had. And she tells her that Ty was being flirty with her and said she told main Ella about Ty saying that it was a shame that it was their last kiss. But this was pissing me off. And listen, you know how I feel about defending men, but I'm about to do it again because I will defend Ty here. Even last week when that conversation came up, I said in the moment before any of this shit happened, I said that I didn't think that Ty was being flirty in that context. When he said that, I felt like he was shutting her down gently. It felt like a swerve to me completely. The way he said it in the context that he said it. When taken out of context and Ella B is telling main Ella like, oh, Ty said it's a shame that's going to be our last kiss in reference to when we kissed at, the club a few months ago, whatever. It makes him look worse than it was because that genuinely wasn't how he said it. I mean, that is what he said, but it was not in that way. In the context of their conversation, it was a shutdown. It's just we're missing the context because he said that in response to her making a pass at him. So in response to her making a pass at him, he was like, well, it's a shame that that's the last. Sorry, bitch. He didn't say it in like a, damn, sucks, it's the last time we're going to kiss kind of way. But that's how she's making it seem. That's not how it was said at all. Oh, God, I hate to defend a man. I really do mean it, but it wasn't that serious. And I said this last week, so you know that my opinion has stayed the same here. It was a flirty rejection. That's all it was. He was letting her down gently, in my eyes. Then we've got a recoupling, and the girls are the ones picking. So the couples end up being Ella and Ty, Whitney and Locken, Molly and Zach, Jess and Sammy, Ella B and Mitch, Abby and Scott, and Amber and Josh. The Abby and Mitch stuff is exhausting me. Abby is continuing to be pretty hypocritical about the whole situation, which is really, it's blowing my mind that she doesn't see it like that. And I'm not defending Mitch here whatsoever, by the way, because I think that Mitch, particularly towards the end of this week, started to be like a real asshole about it. But towards the beginning of the week, when it was just like Abby being pissed at Mitch for doing the same thing that she did with Scott, Abby was annoying the fuck out of me because I was like, come on. Like, he's not doing anything differently than what you already did last week. But Mitch is also insufferable. So I don't really care about defending that man. Ty's the only man that I'm defending this week. Then Ty and Ella get in like a little bit of a tiff because he's frustrated that he's feeling like OG Ella doesn't trust him and that Ella B is like stirring the pot for no reason and like misrepresenting what he said, which is fair because I really do believe that she is misrepresenting it. And then Ty is getting frustrated because he's like, I really like her, but I keep getting accused of shit after we've closed it off. And he feels like he's actually been like pretty forthright and honest and loyal since closing it off, which I'm going to agree with him. I am. And at the beginning of the series, I mean, Mika and I said this when we were talking about it when we were in Italy. Ty is incredibly easy to understand. If there's one thing about that man, is that he's honest. Even in the beginning half of the season when he was being like a little bit of a player, a little bit douchey, he was always honest about that fact. He never told you he was going to be anything that he wasn't. He was very upfront about the fact that he was a fuckboy, that he lived the fuckboy life, that he loved it, and that was who he was. He never sold you a dream and then pretended to like be this person when in reality he was something else. And I think like the same goes for now too. Like he's not doing all that. He did close it off with Ella. He has been loyal to Ella. And I think he's been, you know, very honest about everything. He's definitely had his petty moments, but I think the man is very easy to read. I don't think he's difficult to understand at all. I know. I'm defending a man. It's really upsetting stuff, you guys. And then Ty was also like, I was going to tell her that I loved her today. Now he's pissed and he's like, love sucks. And he's pouting on the daybeds. And then Mitch is now saying he actually does want Abby. Like, Mitch can't make up his mind. One day he's like, Ella B. And the next day he's like, Abby's so cringe. And then the next day he's like, actually, I love Abby. There's no connection between me and Ella B. He's moving mad, babes. Like, at the beginning, it was fair for him to do exactly what Abby had done, but he has talked a fair amount of shit on Abby in the last few days, saying that she's been like cringe and has gave him the ick. And then now moving back onto her and being like, I'm off of Ella. I know when I'm cuddling her, that's just not it. Like, that sucks. To be telling both girls the same thing, to be telling Abby one thing, telling Ella B the literal opposite thing, and just playing both sides of it for what fucking reason? Like, this is where Mitch lost me. Because I'm like, you were cool when you were playing the same game that Abby was. When you were moving on Ella the same way that Abby moved on Scott, you were cool, right? Because the playing field was even. You were just doing what she did to you. Fine. But then when you start playing both of them at the same time, that's where you fucked up, because Abby never did that. Now you just look like a fucking asshole, because you are. Then they go to bed that night. Messy Mitch is cuddling with Ella B after saying that he didn't like cuddling her. And then the next day, Mitch wakes up and says the literal opposite thing, where all of a sudden he's back to being like, no, it's dead with Abby. I love Ella B. And I feel such a connection, when literally the night before he was like, when I cuddle her, I feel nothing. The man deserves the death penalty. Like, it is not good. Then we get to Snog, Marry, Pie, which... Oi, yoy, yoy. Zach makes the mistake of the century. Just no thoughts going on in that pretty little head of his. Because when he does Snog, Marry, Pie, he chooses to snog Katie and marry Molly. Which, it's like, have you never watched a season of Love Island before? Because if you have ever watched a season of Love Island, just humor me. What usually happens when people snog someone not in their couple during Snog, Marry, Pie? Humor me, Zachariah. What usually happens? Not good things. Zach is like, fast forwarding a little bit here, but post the challenge, Zach was like, well, I just wanted to give you the more prominent title. You're my... I'm in a couple with you, Molly. I really like you. I see a future with you. So I wanted to marry you because that means the most, right? But that also, then for the snog, you're going to kiss fucking Katie. And Molly was really not upset that he snogged someone else. She was upset that he snogged Katie specifically because there's history there. And she's like, you really could have done it with anybody else besides her. Like, why did it have to be her? And then Zach was like, well, I was just playing the game too literally. Like, obviously you're the one I want to marry. And if there's anyone else in here that I would kiss, obviously it would be Katie. Like, we already knew that. I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. He's just a big fucking dummy. It was like, just stop playing the game literally. Please just behave the way that you've seen people play this game for seasons. If you want to know how to play this game the right way, where you end the game and there's no drama, you just are supposed to kiss your partner and marry your girl best friend in the villa, okay? That's what you do. Or you marry your best mate's girl because she's so nice to your best mate, okay? We know that this is how it goes. Always don't switch it up. It perplexes me how we see the same thing happen every season, and then every season new people come on and make the same mistake, and it's like, have we not learned? You can watch other people. Then Mitch pies Abby, which is insane considering the last time that they spoke, he said that he wanted her. Last night, he still hasn't spoken to Abby about his new revelation this morning. And then in response to this, Ella B pies Mitch and says, listen, the girls speak and I've got Abby's back, which I thought was a slay. It was a major girl boss slay moment. Then Katie also snogs Zach during her Snog, Marry, Pie, and Molly's pissed again. And also Uzi was a little sad about it. It was so cute. It made me so sad. He was like, oh, he was just sad. He was having a little sad boy moment after that, and I thought it was very sweet. It made my heart hurt a little bit. Whatever. It's every single person is pieing Mitch. It's like Mitch pie city. And in the end, like, Abby pies Mitch, and then Mitch is like, didn't you play two boys first? And it's like, Mitch, we're past that. You've now fucked it in the last 24 hours, and you look like the worst person ever in this situation. And then Mitch and Abby end up sort of ending it for good, so it seems, after this challenge. Molly and Zach sort of have their little argument because of the whole challenge thing. Molly's like, you really confused me. Zach says he's playing the game literally. Then Molly's like, and then in the challenge, when you can see him getting upset, you're laughing in the challenge. And then as she's telling him this, he laughs again. He laughs in her face. It's clearly a nervous reaction, but it was like, you couldn't have picked a worse time to do that. And Molly gets up and storms off, goes and talks to the girls, and is like, he just laughed at me. He just fucking laughed in my face as I'm telling him what hurt my feelings and telling him that I find it frustrating that he laughed in the challenge when all this is going on. And then as this is happening, Zach walks up to Molly and the girls and is like, I don't know what you lot are trying to feed her, but can we have a chat? And the girls are like, what the fuck? We're not feeding her anything. We're listening to her. Also, like, fuck you. This is the first time she's opened up to us. And, like, you just fuck off. And I'm like, when Zach did that, I was like, Zach, shut the fuck up. Like, this is how you get all of her friends to hate you, is when you pull stupid shit like that. Anyways, then we make it to, like, the beach house thing where they're like, oh, we're going to a beach club, woo, and then we get a whole full Rita Ora show for some fucking reason. Literally no one cares. Even the Islanders themselves don't care. They look like they're being held at gunpoint to watch Rita Ora perform. Then there's a public vote that happens that we learn the results of at the beach club. Whitney and Locken are voted favorite couple, and the lowest voted couple is Amber and Josh, who are then dumped from the villa immediately. Then Whitney and Locken have to choose the second couple to go between the other two lowest rated couples, which would be Katie and Uzi or Ella B and Mitch. Personally, if I was Whitney and Locken, I would have said Ella B and Mitch, you gotta fucking go. But they chose wrong, and they chose to send home Katie and Uzi. And I thought their logic here was a little backwards, because they were like, we're sending home the couple that we know has a good connection and they'll be able to explore it on the outside, and we're going to keep in the couple that hasn't had enough time to explore and even see if they have a connection in the first place. Which, like, I hear it, but I don't think that logic checks out when you know you're on a dating game show. Maybe it was just like a play to win sort of thing, but I don't think Katie and Uzi were threatening their win in the slightest. It just makes more sense, right? If you're on a show where you're competing for like the most compatible couple, you're competing for love, that you would keep Katie and Uzi because you believe they have a genuine connection versus Ella B and Mitch. Everyone's going to leave the villa in a week anyways and have to explore if these connections can last on the outside. It really doesn't fucking matter who stays and who doesn't. It's not like this extra, fucking 6 days in the villa is going to really make or break a connection. But it's like, isn't the point of the game to keep good couples in and then kick out the people that are not in love on Love Island? I don't know. So then Katie and Uzi are dumped from the villa, and then they come back to the main villa because they kicked everyone else out, by the way. So once they chose Whitney and Locken as the top couple, everyone else that was safe got sent back to the villa, so they didn't see who got dumped. And then when they get back and they see that Katie and Uzi got dumped and Mitch and Ella B are back, they're all so confused. And people are like, why did you do that? Like, why did you send home Katie and Uzi? And yeah, a lot of people agree that the thought process was backwards. Ty was like, I'll be so real, but that is the wrong choice. And he was real for that, because I was thinking the same thing. Jess is like, Mitch literally has 9 lives, which that man fucking does. How is he still here? And then Whitney was being like, I just feel like we need to keep Mitch because he's such a character in the villa and like we just needed him here. And then Abby was like, it's not has a good characteristic island in response to that, which then later that like ignites a confrontation between Abby and Ella because she agreed with Tyre on the fire pit. Which then Mitch overhears Abby say that Mitch said that it wouldn't work on the outside between him and Ella B, which he did. And then he says that he's like screaming across the villa that he never said that. And Abby's like, then roll the tapes then, babes. Roll the tapes. Which you can roll the tapes because Mitch did say that. And then Whitney starts to call out Abby for starting drama out of bitterness, which she's not like totally wrong for, but also if I was Abby, I think I'd be pretty pissed off too. So I don't know if I blame her completely. I think what Mitch did in the last 24 hours was shady as fuck and is irritating as hell. But yeah, it's not like the most mature look ever, I would say. Then we get the couple goals challenge, which they have to like rank different couples. And so the first question is, which couple is the most argumentative? Everyone says either Ty and Ella or Sammy and Jess. Everyone sort of thinks the same. Then we have which couple has the least sexual chemistry. I would have said Mitch and Ella. Most people are saying Whitney and Locken, which I think is wild. And then Whitney's like, well, that's not what the public thought. And Locken is like, we're adults. We kiss in private, which was cute. It was sweet. And then Scott and Abby voted Jess and Sammy for the least sexual chemistry, which is funny because sexual chemistry might be the only chemistry that they have. Which couple is the most one-sided? Everyone either says Scott and Abby or Mitch and Ella, which obviously that's the truth. And And then everyone is basically saying that Scott never talks about Abby at all, and it seems like he doesn't actually really like her. Then we've got which couple is the most smug, and everyone goes with Whitney and Locken, and Whitney is like high-key pissed about that. Then we've got most likely to have their head turned, and this is when things start to really heat up. Obviously, the answer is one of the newer couples, either Scott and Abby or Mitch and Ella B. Scott and Abby obviously vote for Mitch and Ella B, and Mitch gets pissed, and Scott is like, you've literally tried to get to know every bombshell that's walked in the door. And then he goes, the only reason none of us tried to get to know Abby during Casa more was because we felt bad for you that you've been single for 3 weeks. I gasped. I went, oh. I was like, I'm so sorry, but that shit was accurate. Like, that read was a fucking read, because everyone in the whole villa went, oh no, because everyone knew there was a little too much truth to that one. And then Zach immediately is like, bro, you need to respond to that, because he's like, that is crazy. And then Mitch calls them all fake, and they're going at each other about what was said behind closed doors. It's getting fucking messy. Scott says that Mitch said 3 days ago that he wanted Abby back. Mitch says that Abby's exact words are that me and Scott have no connection. Then Abby says Mitch couldn't be arsed to graft, and that's why he went to Ella. Scott says Ella B was the convenient option, and then Ella B says that Abby said that her kiss with Scott was mid. Then Scott says you two are together because I didn't want Abby. It was insane. They were all going at each other, just insult. It was fucking the four corners of insults. It was fucking crazy. I felt like I was watching a sporting event. It was blew my mind. Incredible work. Whitney and Locken are dying laughing during this, which was same. If I was there, I would have been losing my fucking marbles. All right. So anyways, we finished the challenge. Whitney's sort of salty about it. And Ella is like, I can tell that you're the youngest in your family. Then when they're in the dressing room, this was like right after Ella took the first shower, and Whitney called her out for it, being like, you always take the first shower. And then in the dressing room, Whitney calls Ella the most selfish person she's ever met. And then Ella is like, you actually think you're family the way you speak to me, and that's not okay. The beef is brewing. Later on in the night, Ella pulls Whitney and is like, you actually upset me when you called me selfish. And then Whitney's like, I wasn't joking about that, though. Like, you are a little self-absorbent, and you don't think about other people sometimes. Like when you hop in the shower first without considering anyone. Which is just the way this is starting. You can tell it's going to be a petty argument just because they're around each other all the time. Like Whitney and Ella are clearly good friends. You've watched them throughout the entire series be on their bestie vibes. I feel like this is just a fight that is erupting out of like being constantly on top of each other 24/7. I don't think it's like worth reading into. The whole time as this was starting, I was like, oh, this is going to be like a dumb fight for no reason, just because they've like lived on top of each other for 6 weeks, and are now starting to get like a little, testy with each other, which I think is exactly what's happening here. And then when he's like, maybe you're not selfish, but to me you have selfish traits. And Ella was like, I thought we were friends. And then Whitney was like, do friends vote each other in the challenge? And Ella's like, oh, okay, so this is what this is about. Which I actually think it's probably about a lot of things. I think it's just honestly what it comes down to is like, you guys have been living on top of each other for 6 weeks, and a lot of things have been building up. And now you're going to have this dumb argument for no reason. I don't know. How I saw it was like, the way that Whitney was speaking to Ella was uncalled for. You don't speak to friends like that. Do I understand why it is annoying if you're living with someone for 6 weeks and they're always taking the first shower without considering if somebody else should have it one day, or if they should ask somebody else if they would like to go first without just taking it every single time? Do I understand why that's annoying? Absolutely. Did Whitney communicate that kindly and effectively the way you should communicate that when it is a friend that you care about? No, absolutely not. But I do think coming off the heels of that challenge, where she's also clearly upset about being called smug by her friends, it's all contributing to this right now. So do I think it was handled properly? No. Do I sort of understand where she's coming from? Yes. I think the main problem is the delivery here. And then they get sent on like a little resolve your fight date. And I feel like in that conversation, Ella was really trying to be communicative and work towards resolution, but Whitney was actively trying not to. So I don't know what that was all about. But later in the day, Whitney ends up apologizing, and she doesn't take back what she said, but she's like, I usually try to be direct and with love, but I think I forgot the with love part, which is fair enough. I think that's what the issue is. It's the delivery was the problem. Whatever. It's just so dumb. It was a stupid argument. Then we end the week with Sammy asking Jess to be his girlfriend, which I have nothing to say about. Absolutely nothing. And that's the end of our second to last week of Love Island. So next week we will talk about the very last week and the finale, and then we will have some freedom. We will be able to do something else with our lives. We'll be able to have other thoughts inside our brains. What are we going to think about? What are we going to talk about? Like, I don't even know. Who knows where the wind will take us. So with that, thanks for listening, you guys. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for being at the sleepover. Love you so much.